Hello, my name is Lo G and welcome to this secret video. In the solo you just heard me play, there's a bunch of stuff happening, but there's one concept that's one of my favorites that I'm doing in that solo that I want to talk about. It's the concept known as triad pairs. So before we start, let me just play the concept. You can kind of hear what it sounds like. And I'm not even doing anything cool right there. I'm just like running it like an exercise, and it already sounds really interesting, really melodic as well, which is one of the big benefits of this strategy. So what is a triad pair? What do you do? What's the sound? It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a pair of triads, but they're acting or they're interacting in a specific way. Not all the time, but this is generally what people do. So let's say I am playing over D minor, like a 2 chord. So minor 6 or D Dorian, you can call it that if you want, which means I'm in what key? I'm really just in the key of C, right? And I'm just soloing over the 2 chord in that key, D minor. That's where Dorian exists, on the 2 chord of a standard major key. So if I play a little D minor triad, looks like this, that's gonna be one of the chords in my triad pair, one of the triads in the pair. That's actually happening in the hypothetical part that I'm hearing in my mind, right? If I play the open D string with it, it sounds like D minor, right? But I'm gonna pair it with a chord that's not happening. How about C major, right? Now, while that's in the key, there's nothing weird about that chord is not happening in my hypothetical part, because my hypothetical part is just D minor the whole time. But I'm gonna sneak in C major, which would sound like this, right? Gives it like a suspended flavor, right? And not only am I gonna throw in that chord, I'm gonna play them back to back in ways that I just did right there. Watch what happens when I do that. This is kind of what I did in the very beginning. Now that sounds like I'm doing a bunch of stuff, like a bunch of chords and all this fancy stuff. I played 2 chords that whole time. It was just the pair that I decided to play. C major, D minor. Or a pair of 1 and 2 in the key of C, or a pair of a major chord and a minor chord. Now, why did it sound so busy? It sounded like there was so much going on. Because I am hitting every inversion of those 2 chords. I'm not just playing, root in the bass every time. Check this out. If I do that slow, C major, root in the bass, 1, 3, 5. D minor, root in the bass, 1, 3, 5. C major, 3 in the bass, 3, 5, 1. D minor 3 in the bass, it's 3, 5, 1. C major 5 in the bass, 5, 1, 3. D minor, it's 5, 1, 3, right? Continue, root in the bass, root in the bass. So if you run that whole thing, root in the bass, root in the bass, third in the bass, third in the bass, fifth in the bass, fifth in the bass. Do it again, over and over again. You can traverse the entire fretboard and it makes it sound like you're playing a bunch of different chords, but you're only playing 2. Super valuable to get like a chord soloing type sound, which is kind of what I'm doing in that video. But the other thing that's really nice about this is it allows you to sort of harmonize with yourself. So let's say again, I'm soloing over D minor. D minor is my actual chord and the C major is kind of like a passing chord, right? I can play a little melody on top of D minor. I'll do this, right? Now I can play that, but now I'm gonna harmonize it with the corresponding chords that would go underneath. All I need to do is look at the notes and say, okay, what chord has this note in it? So the first note of my melody is D. Of my 2 pairs, or of my 2 chords in the pair, which chord has a D in it? D minor. So I would just play the D minor chord that's got this note on top, which would be this, third in the bass. Then the next note of my melody is this E. What chord has that E in it of the pair? C major, 5 in the bass. And I just, again, choose the shape that's got that note on top. So if I harmonize that melody, which again sounded like this, I can go, it's the same melody, and you can hear that melody because I'm making sure the melody is the top note of the run, but it has all this extra stuff going on underneath. I'm harmonizing with that. Like if you were to part write that for a choir, you wanted to write 3-part vocal harmonies, you could do literally that. You can have the melody do this, and then you can have the middle line, let's say, do the middle string of that part, and then have the lower part of the harmony, do the lower string of that part, and you would have a really cool 3-bar harmony. So this isn't just used on guitar, it's a general writing strategy. And it's so easy to do when you understand what's going on. When I was younger, I would hear this and always think that there was like a million chords. And then once I learned a little bit more, I realized, oh, it's just 2 chords, right? And they're usually really simple, just a little minor, a little major. Like this is just in the key of C, and I'm playing 1, 2, 1, 2 over and over again. Super valuable, such a cool sound. And you don't also have to just use it like this. You can do this in your lead as well. So for example, if I play more like traditional arpeggio type things instead of these chord shapes, it can give me the same sort of flavor, but in a lead line. So for example, so again, I'm still thinking D minor, like I'm soloing over that, but what did I just play? Arpeggio, C, D minor, C, D minor, C, D minor, same thing. And you dip right back into D minor. If I try to sing that over a D minor chord, so bum, 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 it's such a cool sound. And this is only one of the potential pairs that you can play. There's a lot of different pairs that exist in the key. You can play like F, G, F, G. That's like 4, 5 in the same key. That's a major, major triad pair. You can play D minor, E minor. Right? That's 3, 2 in the key. D minor, E minor in the same key. A lot of really interesting stuff you can do here. And I haven't even touched on what you can do with larger voicings, like spread voicings, for example. So this would be the same thing, but with bigger shapes, right? It's the same exact concept. Beautiful sound. Or how about do the same thing but add notes, right? It's all the same stuff, but just with more notes. Picking up the chords, right? Such a cool sound. Again, that's just C, D minor, 1, 2 in the key of C, pairing them together like that. Really valuable, one of my favorite sounds. If you want to dive deep into this, it's a big part of my guitar method that I have on the Patreon. I actually have a whole series called Chords as Leads, which dives into this exact thing, because that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm using chord shapes in a sort of lead scenario. So if you're interested in that, huge series on that, you can check the link for the Patreon in the description. Or if you want to see the general layout of the entire guitar method that I have on the Patreon, you can check out loglessons.com, other link in the description. That's just a catalog of all the lessons, all the topics, so you can see if something looks good to you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.